Welcome to Panel Talk. This is a half-an-hour talk show. Well, screw it. The music's still going. We're so professional, I kill myself. Welcome to Panel Talk. This is a half-an-hour talk show, and I'm your host, Troy Skubitz. We have an exciting show for you today. We have the Polygraph, a lie detector, and we've never had anything like this on the show before. And with us today is Katie, and many of you will recognize Katie as being on the show before. Yeah, exactly. And she's hooked up already to the lie detector, the polygraph. And so we're going to do a mock polygraph for those of us sitting here in the studio and those sitting at home. But before we get started, I have a little letter, okay? And we have a little P.O. box that you folks at home can write to us and let us know if you're interested in watching the TV show. And I implore you, I beg you, if anyone wants to work on the show or just sit in the audience or just write, and let us know what you think of the show, please do so, and I'll give you the P.O. box in a minute. But first of all, here's the letter we got, and it's sick. Dear Troy, I've seen Panel Talk several times now, and I'm hooked. I love your show. I especially like the way you look in your tight polyester weave slacks. Nice, very nice. Try wearing your vest with no shirt next time. I'd like to see your chest. Also, I'd like to suggest that you only let your friends on the show if they are in drag or naked. Don't knock nudity so much on your show. Nudity is appropriate for a show with your format. Sincerely yours, Amanda, kiss and hug. So obviously, this is someone with a really good sense of humor, but we love getting letters. I'll accept any kind of letter except with the postal threat in it, okay? So write to the show, and I'll give you the P.O. box here. Address it to Panel Talk, okay? Panel Talk, P.O. Box 66243, Seattle, Washington, 98166. And one more time, Panel Talk, P.O. Box 66243, Seattle, Washington, 98166. So send us those letters, and again, if you want to be on the show, if you want to sit in the audience, you're certainly welcome to. Write to us, and we'll get a hold of you somehow. Cookies. And bring cookies. Geno says bring cookies. And one more thing, if you didn't get the address and you're interested in it, watch the end credits. It'll be it'll scroll one more time for you. Okay, so get a pen and paper ready if you don't have it. Joining us today is our panel. Like I said, this is Panel Talk. If you've seen the show before, you know that the panel is a real big part of the show. So let's go over and meet our panel. Hello, panelists. Hello. Welcome to the show. You guys, wow, did you all talk about what you were going to wear before you came to the show? You planned it this way.
We called each other.
How smart you look. Very dapper. And what is this? It says Panel Talk Season 1, and we're in our second season already. So you guys look real sharp. Real sharp. And to my right here, we have Amy Hansell. Hello, Amy.
Hi.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
And Amy is no stranger to this show.
That's right.
You've been on the show several times. Tell everyone quickly what you do.
I work in PR, public relations.
Yeah.
Doing that.
And what do you think of today's subject?
I'm excited about this. Yeah. This is interesting.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Yeah. And then we have a big show, so we're not gonna schlep a lot here.
Right.
And Geno Kaupiko to your right. Hello, Geno.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for the shirt. Love it.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like the shirt? Yeah. Yeah.
I like that name of mine on the back.
Oh, really. Just quickly turn around, model it for us.
They misspelled your name, Geno?
No, thank God they didn't.
So they're all the names of the people that worked on the show. So if you ever come on the show, maybe you'll get your name on the back of some crappy shirt.
No, it's really cool. I think it's a nice idea.
So yeah, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And quickly tell everyone what you do.
I'm temping at the university right now for a couple different programs.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Cool.
It's working out.
Cool. And
so far.
And what do you think of today's topic?
Lie detection.
Yeah, lie detection.
Oh, that's kind of interesting. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll soon find out.
Yes.
A little bit more. And next to you is Fred Swanstrom. Hello, Fred.
That's right.
Fred and I go back a long ways. I used to live out of his house.
That's a true statement.
That's a true statement.
Mostly on the couch.
I sleep on the couch a lot. Yeah. And how are you?
Good.
And Fred is no stranger to the show either. And you work at Boeing. And are you a little scared for your job right now?
No.
No. He's just no problem.
Easy come, easy go.
No, don't say that. You'll be employed for a long time because you're talented.
That orange plume.
I don't really know what happened there. I heard about it after the fact.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
No.
Fred, do they use polygraph at Boeing?
No.
Drug testing, though.
Drug testing, yeah.
Drug testing.
Yeah.
Have any of you guys been connected to the polygraph? Well, I have. I have, and maybe you'll hear the story, maybe you won't. It depends on time. So without further, depends on time. Without further ado, let's meet our guest. We have a gentleman here who is the king of polygraphs. How do you like that intro so far? King of polygraphs, and it should be interesting to see what he has to show us. His name is Steve Hamre. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Steve Hamre. Hello, Steve.
Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you. Go ahead and have a seat. And Steve, you're going to put a microphone on. You're going to mic up real quick. How long have you been in this type of business?
10 years.
10 years. So, first, what did you do before?
I was involved in retail security, and that's how I kind of got interested in Polygraph. I was working for Payless drugstores for 11 years, and I handle all their employee theft problems and so forth. So.
And is there a lot?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! So if you're a thief and you need work, go to Payless. So
I don't work there anymore.
Okay. So you've been doing this for 10 years now. Who approached you? Who said, "Okay, I think this is a good business"?
Well, I met some people that do Polygraph when I was working for Payless, and involved in some of those investigations. We had a need for Polygraph on a few occasions.
Okay.
And that's how I became interested in it.
Yeah. And so, how accurate is the test?
About 90 to 95%.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would be the reason it isn't accurate?
Well, if you don't have a qualified examiner, it's probably the most important thing.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, and the subject themselves sometimes, if depending on any health problems they might have, you have to check several things to make sure you're going to have a well-qualified polygraph before you actually do the polygraph itself. You want to make sure you have a proper location, a quiet room, somewhere you're not being disturbed. There's no outside influences that can influence the subject being tested.
You said health problems. What kind of health problems?
Oh, if they're on medications, for instance, for certain kinds of medications can affect the polygraph.
Interesting. Now the machine is hooked up to several different parts of the body.
Correct.
Right. And so what does it measure?
Measures primarily blood pressure, and then what's called GSR, galvanic skin response, and breathing patterns, or what they call pneumo. It's breathing patterns.
So it tests all three of those
All
things?
three of those simultaneously, yes.
Is there one that contributes higher than the other?
No.
They're all equal?
All equal, yes.
Now, can a person prepare themselves and say, I'm going to, really screw up this test, and I know I'm a liar, and but I can get by this no problem?
They always try.
They always try, and it doesn't
yeah,
work.
if they come in knowing that they want to lie on the test, they'll try everything. What they mostly try and do is influence the examiner as they're in the process of preparing for the test and the test itself. They'll try and convince the examiner, that they haven't done whatever they're being accused of.
So you have to be real smart. Not to be easily influenced.
You just don't listen to them.
Yeah. So I can't hear you. I can't hear you. So what do you find? I mean, in 10 years time, I mean, you obviously get a gut feeling. You must know going in that this person is either guilty or not guilty.
Very much so.
Yeah. So what percentage would you say that you're able to
I would say I'm probably pick it out 85% of the time. I can pick them out how they're going to come out of the test before I ever see the results.
Really? Really?
But I don't base any decision on that. I only base my decision truly on the polygraph charts themselves. We have a very scientific numerical scoring system on the charts, and we use that for scoring. And if I, let my own personal, because of the subject's demeanor influence, then I would be biased, and I don't want to be biased toward the testing at all.
So where do you learn? You said it's important for somebody to be well trained. Where do you learn?
Well, I was trained at the Baxter School of Lie Detection, which is down in Southern California in San Diego, and they're a well-known, nationally known polygraph school. And it's about an 8-week course and very, very intense course on polygraph. And
so you've been hooked up to the machine?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And how often do you have to do it?
Pardon me?
But I was, like I mentioned at the top of the show, I was connected to the machine for an incident that happened at work. And I'll say I was not guilty, thank you very much. But the instructor, or the person who gave the test, administered the test, he said he had to take it twice a year. And one of the first questions he asked me was, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "Yes, I'm very nervous." And he says, "I'd be worried if you weren't nervous."
That's right.
And he said, because he takes the test a couple times a year, that he still gets nervous and he knows what to expect.
He was probably lying to you.
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't connected to the machine.
No, I've only been on it a couple times.
Only a couple times?
Yeah, over 10 years.
And you felt your heart?
Yeah, we had a mock situation when we were in school, for instance, and where we used envelopes and a $10 bill, and and some of the other students in the class and I participated in this mock situation. Then we were tested to see which one took the envelope with the $10 bill.
Oh, okay. And was it you?
No, it wasn't me.
Good. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
We have an honest man here on the show. Well, we should probably get over to our victim. I mean, our volunteer, Katie. Katie, right here, and she's already connected to the machine. And before you go over there, I do want you to go over there, but it's a long process. The preparation is actually the longer part of the process.
Definitely.
And so, how do you prepare the person that you're speaking to?
Well, I think it's very important that you have a good rapport with them when they come in. A lot of these people obviously don't want to be in there for a polygraph test to begin with, especially in a criminal matter type thing, and it's important that you let them know that you're there to help them. If they weren't involved in whatever they're being accused of, this is going to help them. And I also tell them the same token, I say, hey, I'm not going to hide anything from you. I'm straightforward with them. If you did this, it's going to show up on the polygraph.
Yeah. But you go over the questions, which I think is interesting.
Ahead of time.
Yes. So they are prepared for it.
So there's no trickery in the questions, so they understand the questions, or we're both talking on the same page as far as terminology and that sort of thing. We all
understand exactly what
exactly, because everyone's different. Some people are not as educated as other people, some are more sophisticated than other people, and you have to use different terminology depending on the type of individual you have.
To make sure they completely understand.
You could have a 18-year-old street person accused of a crime, or you could have a computer executive accused of a crime, and you have your total difference there, and you need to be able to formulate the questions properly to fit them.
Okay. Well, let's get started.
Okay.
You're going to unmic yourself. I'm going to help you here. Katie, do you want me to hold your hand?
That's
Would it
okay.
help?
You can sit here if you'd like.
I can sit next to you.
I'll let
no
you.
more cord. Here, I'll give you that again. So what did he do before the show with you?
He asked me the questions that he's going to ask me.
Prior to the show.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you have? What does she have hooked up here, Steve?
Right here, this item across your chest here.
Her breast.
Is a breathing tube. And right below that is also a breathing tube on the abdomen.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Okay. And then the two things on her end of her fingertips there are what's called the GSR, and they measure the galvanic skin response.
What if somebody's really sweaty?
Like now, like you are?
Actually, you're not that bad.
No.
No, that won't have any effect on
Oh,
it.
that won't?
No.
Can we get? There we go. So these are probes that.
Yes.
What do they sense?
They measure galvanic skin response. When a person tells a lie, there's small. The molecules within the skin have small charges of electricity, and when a person tells a lie, psychologically they know they're lying, and that psychological stimuli produces a physical stimuli in the body, and thus produces a change within the galvanic skin response, and that records it on here.
Onto the paper.
Yes.
Now, we should reiterate one more time that this is a mock situation.
Correct.
And so potentially there are higher margins of error.
Correct.
Okay. So I'll let you take over the show. Do whatever you need to do.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to pump up, and this is a blood pressure cuff here on Katie's arm. I'm just going to pump that up a little bit. And what are we doing here? We'll start here by we'll do that blood pressure cuff here in just a second, Katie. And I need you to hold real still for me, if you would, Katie. That's, you have to have the subject's cooperation totally in these. I mean, if they try and play games with you, then you know why they're trying to play the games with you.
Are you, they want to know in the control room, are you able to stand behind her so that they can see you? If you can't, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Not that we necessarily want to see you.
I understand. Okay, now I'm going to put some air in the cuff, and Katie can feel that air coming in.
Yes,
the cuff.
I can.
A lot of pressure on her arm right here. It may even discolor her arm slightly.
Your arm's blue.
I'm frightened.
Are you nervous right now?
A little bit.
A little.
Okay, I'm going to be starting the exam with Katie here, and I'm just going to ask her a series of questions. I'm going to be marking, as I ask the questions, I'm going to be marking on the instrument itself.
Okay.
So Katie, we're going to start the first question here in just a second, okay? And I just need you to look straight ahead. Don't watch the instrument because that'll just make you more nervous.
Okay.
Is your first name Katie?
Yes.
And then I'm just marking it her point of answer on the chart itself.
Okay.
And we're going to...
You're doing very well so far.
Thank you. I haven't lied yet.
And she's one of the seediest characters I know, so it should be interesting.
Do you believe me when I promise you I won't ask a question we haven't gone over word for word?
Yes.
This will take about 2 minutes or so to do this process.
Okay.
Regarding whether or not you participated in that bank robbery last Friday at the Northgate Seafirst, do you intend to answer truthfully each question about that?
Yes.
Between the ages of 18 and 27, did you ever steal anything of value?
No.
Did you help rob this Northgate Seafirst last Friday?
No.
Other than what you told me about during the first 18 years of your life, did you ever do anything dishonest?
No.
Regarding that robbery at the Northgate Seafirst last Friday, did you participate in that robbery?
No. The cruelty can stop.
We're so sophisticated on the show. God.
I wish
Okay, one last question.
Okay.
Other than what you told me about during the first 27 years of your life, did you ever steal anything?
No.
Okay, typically a polygraph test, we would run several polygraph charts through this.
So you do it more than once?
Yes, we do it typically 2 or 3 times. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the air from her cuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, your arm is red.
Yeah, and it's numb.
So how did
Okay.
it feel during the process?
I was like going, oh my God, is there anything else to that story? And I was trying, okay, did I steal anything? It's like, oh my God, I've always taken glasses from bars. It's like, I forgot to mention.
Yeah, and that showed, by the way.
Yeah, but how do we know it was just glasses? That's what I wanna know.
I took a picture too.
So if you're missing things from your bar and you've seen this woman,
Come to my kitchen.
come to her kitchen. Anything else? What else have we discovered?
Well, as soon as the chart be about 10 seconds here and the chart will be off, or I'll take it off and I'll show Katie here her responses and
Okay.
and about this here. And we'll do that right now. Now, Katie. Okay, right. Here's the question about this question 33 and 39 and 35. And you can see how flat these lines are. This is about the robbery at the Seafers. But you can see at question 46 here, you see how you got this little bump here? That's a response to the question, between the ages of 18 and 27, did you ever steal anything of value? Okay.
Yeah.
That's when you were probably thinking about that question?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why you had that, because you were not keying in on the bank robbery. You weren't worried about the bank robbery because you know you didn't do it. And so, but you were worried about the questions, about those questions past life, your dishonesty in your past life. And so your psychological set was focused in on those questions. And that's how we're able to determine if someone's being truthful or not. So in this chart, we would rule that you were being truthful when you gave your answers about the bank robbery.
Okay. Well, let's get to the panelists. That was terrific. If you want to hand me your mic, I'll get you ready over here. Let's start very first question with Amy. Amy, do you have a question for Steve?
Yeah, how, with this sort of a thing, how admissible is this as evidence in court?
That's a common question in polygraph, Amy, and most of the time in criminal court, it is not allowed in criminal court. Where polygraph is used primarily is during the investigation phases of a crime. It's used sometimes if a defense attorney has someone accused of a crime, a lot of times in sexual assaults, where it's one person's word against another person's word, what took place. And the criminal defense attorney may have their client go to a polygraph examiner, have a polygraph test, and if they could pass that test, then they would take that polygraph examiner's report to the prosecutor. And if the case was kind of weak just to begin with, that may influence the prosecutor enough to drop the charge or not even charge to begin with.
Interesting. And Geno, do you have a question?
Do people try to like break the lie detector? I mean, as far as like, kind of hold back, how would you be, in order to do that, you'd have to be able to control your responses, and that must be very difficult to do.
You cannot control your blood pressure. There are some other, they do what's called countermeasures. They try and do little things, they've even been known to put tacks in their shoes, and every time a certain question comes up, they'll press down, and pretty soon you start to see this red blood stain on the floor. But when they're trying these countermeasures, or they'll try and play games with their breathing, you'll see that on the charts. You'll see them as they're doing it, and at that point there's only one reason why they're really trying to play this game, is to confuse you. And the only reason that someone who is trying to do that would be to hide something. They're attempting to hide and be deceptive about something. And so that in itself is a sign of deception. And what we'll do is we'll caution them about doing that and say, hey, quit playing games here. You came in and take this voluntary polygraph test. If you want to take the test, fine. If you don't, go ahead and leave. It doesn't matter to us. And at that point, you're getting their attention, and they can make a decision. But when they're playing those games, there's a reason for it.
Fred, do you have a question?
Yes, it seems that in order for, if the polygraph test were 100% accurate, it would totally change criminal law today, the judicial system as we know it. Are there technological advances being made to try to narrow that gap, that 5 to 10%?
There are. Recently, in the last few years, there's been computerized polygraph tests that have come out. And they're expensive equipment still, so I would say that the majority of polygraph examiners do not have that equipment, but it is starting to come into the market.
Amy.
This sort of ties in with that question. How was this technology developed, and how did this come to be, I guess?
Yeah,
and what's the history of it?
Well, kind of the father of polygraph is a person by the last name of Keeler, and back in, I believe, and this was part of our schooling, kind of our, back in the 30s, and what he did was there had been previous studies about blood pressure arousal and about breathing patterns and GSR and about breathing and so on. It goes even back into ancient crimes or ancient times when I think it was the Chinese would if they suspected someone of lying, they'd put gravel in their mouth or like sand, and if they spit it out and it was dry, it was indication of drying, because when you lie, your mouth becomes real dry and things like that.
It's hard to answer the question.
So it kind of started out in that, and this Keeler kind of put the 3 in where it became known as poly, because he was able to create an instrument that put all three, the breathing, the GSR, and the cardio, all on one instrument instead of just doing these each one at a time. And so that was kind of the mainstay of when polygraph started, was back in the 30s, somewhere around the 30s there.
Around the 30s. Geno.
My question is, if you say you mentioned something about a bank robbery, if you're going to be administering the test on several suspects, do you administer the same questions straight across for each suspect, or do you kind of tailor it to?
Typically, but you have to be cautious that you have to work with the case information that you have available. In other words, if there was a person that, say, is a suspect in the robbery, but say they were just driving the getaway car, and you asked them, are they the one that, pointed the gun at the clerk or whatever, they could pass that question because they didn't point the gun at the clerk. Okay. But the fact is they still participate in the bank robbery. So you have to be very specific in the questions based upon the information available. And sometimes that's hard. That's the really trick part of polygraph. You have to be very careful about that.
And Fred.
I know that this is very serious business, but do you ever break out the lie detector at parties or anything?
No. That's something they taught us in school, that's not appropriate to do.
It's not appropriate.
No.
And do you have to buy the machine yourself?
Yes.
It is your machine?
Yes.
And it's very expensive, I imagine.
Yes, they are. They can be anywhere, the computerized ones can run up to $20,000.
Okay, and quickly, one last question because we have to wrap up the show. What is the oddest type of incident that you ever discovered using the polygraph?
Oh boy, that's really hard to say. I do a lot of sex crimes, so some of those can get pretty odd.
Really
graphic. Really, I've done some murder cases too. So.
Do you ever get to the point where you go, I can't believe this?
Yeah, but you can't show it.
You can't show it.
Yeah. You can't show the motion at the time because you're trying to work with individuals.
But inside, and your moral fiber brings you back, and you just go, oh.
This guy's a sicko.
Yeah. I guess we have time for one more. Or no? One more question. Any of you guys can throw it out. Anyone? Go ahead, Fred. Fred, I see a glimmer in his eye.
I already asked all the good ones. So I take it that you're an independent business person with this, and so firms come to you and say, I need this service provided.
Yes. I work with police departments, attorneys, retailers, personal, just individuals. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much. It's been a terrific show, and the time has flown right by.
Thank you.
Steve Hamre, everybody, our guest. I'd like to thank the panel here. We have Amy Hansell, Geno Kaupiko, and Fred Swanstrom. Thank you, guys. And a special thanks to Katie Nana, Katie Braid.
Thank you, Scooby-Doo bit.
Thank you for volunteering to do that. This is just terrific. And the show is called Panel Talk. I'm your host, Troy Skubitz. Tune in next week, the same time, same channel, same day. Okay? Thank you very much, everyone. Come on out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just stand up and just stand here.